Chris, are you ready to take a trip down memory lane?
What's going on in
That was all I did.
Well,
that was certainly all my goals, wasn't
I
it?
thought he was a centre half. I thought he was a centre half when we bought him.
I was.
Well,
you know I never went over the halfway line, girls, very often.
let's relive a few more memories, because the first place we like to start, Chris, is by asking people what made them start and sign for Curbs.
Well, I mean, obviously I was at Spurs. Glenn Hodder would come in as manager, and it just looked like he didn't really fancy me. And I was offered the opportunity to come to Charlton, and Charlton were flying. You know, it really started the season well. I think the first game, the next game was going to be Manchester United. It was my first game at home, and it was a no-brainer for me. It was moving to a club I kind of knew enough about to think that I was going to be successful here, and it was the right sort of place for me to come. I had a really good feel. Curbs met me by the side of the M11, and we drove up.
That was how the deal was sealed. Yeah, I love those glamorous signing on stories. But Curbs, what was it about Chris that made you want to bring him into the squad?
We had him on loan a little bit.
I came in on loan initially, didn't I, from Spurs? Yeah.
And you know, I'd obviously seen Chris at Wimbledon and etc. And the move to Spurs, and I asked George Graham about him, etc. And you know, and I knew that he would fit in. And perhaps people didn't think he was the biggest or the strongest centre back, but listen, he got away with it. He done what he done, and he was always a handful, and we never got much change out of him. So it was great that he come on loan and he saw what we was about, and then at the end of the season we was able to make it permanent.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You know, that was it. And he'd seen enough of us, and the fact that he knew all about the club and he lived local, that was another big bonus as well.
Chris, little did you know at the time that you were joining the club as they were just about to embark upon their most successful season in the Premier League. But did you get a sense of it when you were making that decision to sign?
Like I said, when I made the decision to sign, I knew a little bit about the club. When I came here, I was really impressed with the playing squad. You know, I mean, Scott Parker was having the season of his life. It was an absolute joy to play behind Scott. He just protected you so well. But there were so many characters, so many experienced players. It was such a good team. No disrespect to Curbs, but at times it managed itself on the pitch. You know, there were so many experienced players out there. We could change stuff, and we knew when to sit in as a team, when we could go and push on. And it was just a really good atmosphere, and it reminded me of, I really enjoyed my time at Wimbledon, obviously coming through there as a kid, and it reminded me of Wimbledon. It was all very, very close-knit. You know, everyone was together, everyone was on the same page, and it's a family club, and that's where I felt most at home.
Well, your second game for the club was against Liverpool, and it was a pretty decent game, that's for sure. We can see on our screens now, Kevin Lisby scored a hat-trick. We won 3-2. What are your memories of that day?
I mean, Liz was absolutely unplayable on the day. But we were just all over them. We were just so on top of them, so much better than them. They couldn't get a kick. We were just at a completely different tempo. Every single second ball we won. Every single challenge we won. And I think I actually celebrate one of the goals, and I don't often get over the halfway line to celebrate. It used to save me energy. So.
We also beat Charlton. We beat Chelsea that season as well, and it's quite famous. How we managed to do that here at the Valley. What do you think was the key to that success? Again,
at the time Chelsea were on a good run, but we were fourth in the table. We were flying too, and the belief was just huge here. We had great belief that we could go on and we could beat anyone on our day, and when we played at a tempo, we had a style of play that made it uncomfortable for teams when they came here, and we were just miles better than Chelsea on the day, and thoroughly deserved the victory.
We're going to fast forward now to the end of your first season, and your first goal came against your old club Spurs. This is when they pulled it back to 3-2, but then a now familiar face made it 4-2 to Spurs and wrapped that game. Johnny Jackson came through while you were at the club. What was he like as a youngster?
Jacko was a very, very talented ball-playing midfielder, really. He had a wonderful left foot, as you see there. You know, he had a great left foot, wanted to get on the ball in midfield and just spray passes about and control the game. I did enjoy scoring against Spurs that day, because they were giving me a little bit of stick.
And Curbs, I wondered, did Chris always seem like the type of player to you that would go down and pursue the coaching and do all the badges and so on?
Yeah, because he was always inquisitive, asking questions, and you know, you don't like players asking too many questions, like, you know, why, what, and why are we doing this? But Chris was always like that, and always encouraging, which is another thing. And you know, when we was bringing players into the club at the time, you know, a major part of it was to find out what the guys were like. And you know, you can't get it right all the time, but I definitely got it right with Chris. You know, sometimes you get it wrong, but as players were coming into the club, even players that had different ways of doing things, like Klaus. You know, Klaus was different, but we all accepted Klaus and Paolo, because you know what, they accepted the Chris's and the Scotties and the Matty Hollands. You know, everyone sort of chipped in with their bit to get us where we were that year, and it was a great atmosphere. Obviously we got waylaid, but you know, we can't keep talking about that. But that side, as Chris said, didn't just pick itself, but it was virtually, you know, that 11, 12, 13 players. And it was a good group of lads, and you know, we went out into every game expecting to get something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your last goal for the club came against Middlesbrough, and we can take a little look at it now. Did you get many volleyed goals in your career? Where does this one rank?
This is up there with one. I scored a volley at Old Trafford for Wimbledon once, which was nice, past Peter Schmeichel. But this one was kind of, I don't know, just sort of. Just looked at Danny Murphy, and we sort of like just looked at each other and thought, there's space there if I go here. And obviously I played with Teddy Sheringham a lot, and that was kind of a similar finish to Teddy. And I don't know why I thought I could pull it off, but obviously it worked.
Well, what's great is the commentator says a routine worked on the training ground. Can you recall practicing them in training?
We haven't worked on that at all. No, you very rarely work on free kicks in that position. You don't get too many in that position. And it was, like I said, it was just me and Danny Murphy just looked at each other, and we kind of recognised there was space there, and that everyone was going to be attacking towards the goal. So I just pulled off, and it worked.
Well, that was just looking at that was a different side, wasn't it? That side with Romadale and Jerome Thomas and Bentley.
Yeah,
it was a different side then to, you know, the side we saw beating Chelsea and Liverpool. It was a different side.
And at the start of that sort of 2005-2006 season, we won 5 of the first 6 games. Again, I keep asking you, what was the key? What was the secret to that? But was it that kind of team cohesion, organisation, and everyone knowing their role?
I think the one thing that we did know at Charlton, everyone did know their role. I mean, Curbs and Merv were very, very meticulous on the training pitch. We would walk through stuff, we'd do shape a lot. Everyone knew exactly what their job was on against any particular team. You know, the pre-match stuff that we went through was very, very organised, and you could really see that. And obviously we had Dennis Romadale come in, who was a breath of fresh air, a completely different player for Charlton to what they'd had. You know, international player coming in here with huge pace, great attacking talent. Darren Bent, Danny Murphy. The team had evolved into a little bit more of an attacking team rather than a team of workman-like players, if you like.
Well, we got to a stage in the Premier League where a lot of it was about pace, and a lot of teams were playing 4-3-3. And so we evolved, and we had like Kishishev and Matty Holland as holding midfield players. Danny Murphy, who couldn't do any defensive work, so we, you know, didn't want him to do any, so he got on the ball and tried things. But we had Romadale, lightning, Bentley, lightning, Jerome Thomas and Ambrose, who could play there as well. So, you know, we had a set way of playing, and if someone come out, someone else went in. And as I say, when you look at the squad then, for the year before and perhaps the year after, it was quite settled. I was lucky enough that we copped a few injuries over the years, but I was lucky enough with them 2 groups of players that I didn't have too many injuries, and it was a settled side, and it was 2 squads that could change during the game. We could go to a free, or centre half could go to right back, you know, and we could go back to a 4, and we could have 4 in midfield or 3 in midfield. We could change during the game, and the players are happy to do it.
And Curbs, we've spoken a lot, and I know your mantra as a manager was always never to get too high, never to get too low, but after a start like that, did you sense it could be a special season?
Yeah, you always do, but you know, it is a very long season and things change during the year. But after that start, you know, no disrespect, but you know, you've got to be thinking about staying in the Premier League and progressing, and once you know you're a Premier League side, you can think about next year and improve the stadium, etc. So when you get a start like that, that gives you a real lift, and also makes you a bit more attractive if you need to do anything in the January transfer window. If you're holding your own and you're doing okay, so that start was fantastic for us.
And just finally, Chris, when we were going through the old footage, we couldn't help but notice long sleeves only. Superstition or coincidence?
A little bit of both. Superstition, because I just always done it. I think I used to come home. I used to make a lot of slide tackles, certainly when I was a younger player, and so the amount of times I cut my elbows making slide tackles, and so I used to wear long sleeves to protect those a little bit. And it just ever since I was under 18, I always wanted to wear a long sleeve shirt, no matter whether it was boiling hot in the summer or freezing cold. I'd always wear a long sleeve shirt.
There we go. We've got the answer, Chris. It's been great to go down memory lane with you, and such a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to look back on what was I was very fortunate to have a very good career.
Well, thank you for joining us here as well tonight.